Every year, more than 1.5 million tons of acai are produced in Brazil. Pará is the largest producer, accounting for 90% of all national production. But do you know how this product is processed? Watch this video to see all the stages of acai production, from the harvesting of the raw material to the final packaging. Açaí is a fruit that has been gaining more and more popularity both in Brazil and in other countries. It is very popular in the north of Brazil, where it is usually eaten with manioc flour, almost always without sugar. In other regions, however, the sweetened versions have almost become the standard. Companies of various sizes are dedicated to this market, from small artisanal producers to large industries that supply supermarket chains in Brazil and abroad. Some choose to keep acai as natural as possible, while others try to please those who prefer the sweet and creamy version, served with fruits, granola, and syrups. Riverside communities depend on this fruit for their livelihood. While acai was once consumed almost exclusively in these communities, today it can be found in many parts of the world, representing a little piece of the Amazon in every spoonful. Even so, each person can choose how they prefer to enjoy acai, whether pure or mixed with syrup and fruits. Acai comes from palm trees known as Euterpe oleracea, found mainly in the northern region of Brazil, especially in the state of Pará. These palm trees adapt well to floodplain areas, where the soil is flooded by rivers and streams. The riverside dwellers and local communities usually harvest the fruit by climbing the tall trunk of the palm tree to cut the bunches that contain the small purplish berries, which are the true symbol of acai. Some people use manual methods, such as climbing with straps or using other improvised tools to harvest the bunches. After being cut, the bunches are carefully transported by boat or canoe to nearby ports or collection points. Often, the fruit is removed from the bunches at the place where it was harvested. The harvest season usually takes place between July and December, varying only slightly depending on each year's weather conditions. The harvest requires dedication, as the work is done in areas that are often difficult to access, and the acai bunches must be removed carefully so as not to damage the fruit. During the harvest, it is common to see entire families involved. Some members climb the palm trees while others wait below with baskets or sacks, ready to receive and organize the harvested crop. Once collected, the acai is taken to temporary storage points, where it stays for a short period. Often, the processing facilities are located far from the harvesting areas, so several means of transportation are needed: boats to cross rivers and refrigerated trucks for long road journeys. In some cases, when the route is quick and the local infrastructure is simpler, regular trucks are used to transport the fruit. Ideally, however, some form of refrigeration or at least a cool environment should be maintained, because acai is very sensitive to heat and starts to ferment in a short time. As soon as they arrive at the industrial areas, where large-scale processing takes place, the fruits go through initial inspections. Professionals check for obvious contamination and see if the acai appears to be too crushed or deteriorated. This evaluation, carried out at intake, helps to separate higher quality batches from those that may eventually present problems. In general, the goal is to make the most of the harvest, but always following food safety standards. After being received at the processing facility, the acai goes on to the selection stage. Here, the intention is to separate impurities, such as pieces of branches, leaves, grains of sand, insects, or even unripe fruits that may have been harvested along with the ripe ones. This procedure can be done manually or with the help of conveyor belts and vibrating sieves. Workers usually examine what passes through the sorting belt, removing anything that isn't fruit at peak ripeness. With the sorting done, the next step is washing. Large tanks with clean water are used to remove dirt and any residue that may remain on the peel. Some industries use jets of pressurized water, while others prefer to let the acai soak for a few moments, changing the water from time to time. In certain places, specific products approved for food sanitation are also used. All of this is to ensure that the final pulp is as pure as possible without any trace of contamination. After being thoroughly cleaned, the açaí goes to a machine that removes the skin and separates the pulp from the seed. This step is essential because the pulp is exactly the edible part of the fruit. Machines are used that, through rotating movements and the addition of water, wear down the surface of the fruit, releasing the pulp. There are adjustments that determine the amount of water added, because this directly affects the texture of the final product. Depending on the type of açaí you want to obtain, thick, medium, or thin, the amount of water and the extraction time will vary. Thick açaí, for example, has less water and a stronger, denser flavor. The thin type, which is often found in supermarkets, usually has more water for a lighter texture and a smoother taste. After the pulp is extracted, homogenization takes place. This means mixing the açaí cream in large tanks or industrial mixers so that the product becomes uniform. Once homogenized, the product is filtered to remove small particles that may have escaped the previous process, leaving the açaí with the creamy texture that most consumers expect to find. From here, the pulp can go one of two ways. Some manufacturers choose to package and freeze it directly, while others include a pasteurization system or some type of heat treatment, with the goal of increasing shelf life and reducing the risk of bacteria or fungi. Depending on what the pulp is intended for, some manufacturers add sweeteners, guarana syrup, or other substances to achieve a specific mixture. In several regions of Brazil, it's common to find açaí with guarana syrup to make it sweeter, since many people prefer the sweet taste. In other places, the product may come plain, just the pulp without any added sugars. In addition, some companies add natural thickeners, like xanthan gum, to make the cream even firmer and easier to handle. However, this kind of practice varies from brand to brand and also depends on the target audience they want to reach. Now it's time to package the açaí by putting it into plastic bags and then sealed. After going through the packaging process, the pulp is usually subjected to freezing. This step prevents microorganisms from multiplying and helps preserve the original flavor for as long as possible. In large industrial facilities, giant cold storage rooms are used to store the açaí, which remains frozen before being distributed. And that was today's video. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel.